Hi guys, welcome to today's webinar that is how to brand yourself in the tech industry. This webinar is in collaboration with QFIS. QFIS is a mentorship platform with a community of experts who can guide individuals in their journey. Also, QFIS hosts coaching and workshops on different topics to enhance their skills. So please check out www.qfis.com for more details. I'll also drop down the link in the chat box down below so that you can go and check it out later if you're interested. And also today we have Abhijit Pandey. He's a software engineer in Facebook. Hi, Abhijit.
Hey, hi there.
Hi. Can you turn on your video?
I think I tried, but it didn't work. I think it
Okay.
worked now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome virtual background.
Oh, let me change that. Firstly, I don't want that actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Take your time.
Yeah, I think this is better.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, Abhijit. How are you?
Yeah, hi, I'm fine. How about you?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we start this webinar by you introduce yourself, tell us about your education, tell us what your current position is, and all about you.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, so first of all, hello everyone. So I'm Abhijit, and I have graduated in 2011 with a degree of BE in Computer Science and Engineering from Acropolis Institute of Technology and Research, which is in Indore, which comes under Rajiv Gandhi Technical University in Bhopal. Uh, After completing my graduation, I had joined CodeChef, which back then was an educational initiative by DirectI, and now under an academy. After working at CodeChef for a few years, I moved to Facebook Singapore as a software engineer in December 2019. Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's it.
Okay. So my first question to you is, you're currently working as a software engineer in Facebook, right? So can you tell us about your roles and responsibilities that you go through in your daily life?
Uh, yeah, definitely. So I'm yet to complete a year at Facebook, and most of it has been remote due to pandemic. Uh, I work in a team that actually is a storefront for Oculus and Portal devices. These are the hardware products by Facebook. So,
Okay.
and my responsibility here as a software engineer are to actually gather the product requirements and then materialize into the products along with the team. And the main work which we do is like basically creating web interfaces for the end users and customers. Typically, what in general a software engineer does. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you graduated with a degree in computer science, you also worked at Directy company for 8 years. So can you tell us about what was your roles and responsibilities at that organization?
Yeah, I think here I can actually talk some breadth because as this is the most significant or the only significant part of my professional life so far, which has pushed me to grow as a software engineer. And so I had joined CodeChef as a software engineer, basically junior software engineer in 2012, where the primary responsibility was to build and maintain the CodeChef platform as a whole. Uh, from the growth and the tech perspective, the immediate goals back then were to improve the usability of the platform and scale it well. As of my first project, which I remember at CodeChef, was launching a discussion forum for CodeChef with the team, which was actually a Python Django application written on top of OSQA, which is open source question answer forum, which is now obsolete. Though this work was actually done by some intern before me, but it got launched as my first project. So I still remember that. So that was, I guess, the third birthday of CodeChef. So that was it. Um, Moving on to the next big project which I had was uh, porting this. So basically, CodeChef worked on a single server, which is this was only one server in which everything was there. So like right from web servers to database, caching, etc. Everything happened on that particular server only. So the task was to port this whole stack onto the AWS infrastructure. So that was my another, that was the biggest project which I had in my early career. It was an exciting job which came with a great learning, where we had to make a monolith code base work on multi-server environment, and we have to come up with architecture to do so. uh, and the primary task, like, it involved multiple things, which is like setting up a DNS with a migration strategy, that if you are moving from others one server to other server, it should, your service should not go down. Stateless web servers, then efficient layer of caching, robust database setup. So this all basically covered the architecture part of the whole migration, and that was the basically the intention behind the move was to scale. um, and yeah, as years passed, I went on to become a senior software engineer on the team, and we grew our tech team to have some interns as well. And then along with them, I got to work on the IDE project, which is like, I guess, most used product as of now on CodeChef. Like, it's an online compiler, and it's been used. Um, Further, I worked on scaling the platform by introducing various techniques for improving caching and database load. So as I progressed in my career, obviously CodeShare was progressing much faster, because we were getting more users, and the traffic was increasing in every contest. So that was the idea, that to scale it up. Uh, yeah. So after this, I became the project lead for CodeChef, and then the responsibilities involved some management and people skill sets as well. So first was the team building, where I was involved in sourcing candidates, like not always, but at times, conducting tests, interviewing, onboarding new members on the engineering team. Yeah. So this was the first primary job. Other than that, like coming up with the processes and implementing for creating a better working environment that supports the other departments. So when I started on CodeShare, they were like 4 members, but then it grew to, I guess, 30 around. And we need to have like, we had some different departments, and to work with those departments, you need to have efficient processes. So that was one of the roles and responsibilities which came across. Also, like taking care of the developers' efficiency who are joining the team. Uh, like so, with this, I supported the launch of another program by CodeShare, which was a certification program. Yeah. Along with this, improving the contest platform, moving to a new discussion forum. So I mentioned that my first project was to launch a discussion forum, which was on Python Django. And right now it's not in function. We CodeChef had moved to a new platform for like better user experience, etc. So yeah, these are like some of the stories, or like highlights, which I would say that I had I had like my this was like my tenure at CodeChef. Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, so before we move on, I would like to tell the attendees. So if you have any questions for Abhijit, you can drop down in the Q&A box, so that at the end of the session, I'll be asking those questions. Okay, Abhijit. So my next question to you is, so as you know, projects are usually the highlight for students on their resumes. Like every other student has to do some project to build their resume and to like have a good portfolio of this, right? So when our students in college, what projects do you suggest they should work on to stand out to get into these organizations?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. If not majority, maybe like my most of the resume reviewers actually look for a good project on your resume. But I think it's a very subjective matter, and there is nothing like one size fits all thing we have for like when it comes to projects. So I believe that projects you want to work on can be derived on your own from the problems you face, or the solutions or software you feel are not solving the problem effectively or efficiently. So that could be one of the areas you should be looking forward look for. And like you'll find a lot of products catering to the same audience, but with a different touch, which they felt would be good for their end users. So like taking this philosophy to your project in the college definitely works at times. I also understand at the time that if like it sometimes doesn't naturally come to you that what you should be building on, what should you be building up, uh, and or you can't figure out that what would be best for you. So what you can do is look out for projects on GSOC. So GSOC is basically Google Summer of Code. They have a competition and they select a few candidates for internship with them, which is like a project from some other companies. So if you don't get actually selected for GSOC, the idea is to you can try looking for previous or current projects from GSOC to get an idea of what are the problems being discussed there. And if you don't get to participate in GSOC, you can try building something which appeals to you from the GSOC list. So that could be something like a good start, good head start if you don't have any idea. Um, uh, the whole point of view is that find what appeals to you and then do it your own way to have a good grasp of like what you are trying to do. So as an example, there have been a lot of data science related problems where people are trying to come up with models to detect anomalies, frauds, etc. in like different systems. Like most importantly, the financial systems. People are trying to find out the frauds, etc. Uh, Also, students can try build products or prototypes around privacy. So, for example, still people are concerned about their privacy when they use some certain products. And I am sure that some of like a few of our participants, or maybe you yourself, I myself have found that probably I I'm apprehensive about using some software. So that's the scope. Basically, you can go ahead and build something of your own. It may not be a full-fledged project, but something in a prototypal way. So that is something I would suggest. Also. Uh, if you see there are tons of opportunities in the space of like marketing tools, the tooling basically. So marketing tools, HR tools, sales pipelines, security tools, I mean anything which is like related to defining or customizing or maybe even leveraging the processes. So if there is certain process, just automate that, make a software out of it, just help a larger audience. So that could be one of the things. So I still remember that when I was in college, we like my team along with my team members, we made this music player kind of app. So which what it used to do was it used to pull some free songs from the website where it was available for free, buffer it on your device, and then listen to it. So this was something new back in time at that point in time. So yeah, so I would suggest that something like this, which you feel that is a problem or still a solution, but not the way you want it, that's something you should be looking forward for.
That's nice. Okay, so moving on, coming to the students part only. So we have students who are from technical background who want to stand out and build their resumes and work on them. So when students are applying for internships or job, they want to work on building a good resume. And so what can help them in building their resumes for someone interested in this particular field?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, and it relates to the previous question you asked.
Yeah.
Basically, projects. So, I would suggest or I would recommend basically to work on good projects. When I say good projects, means like it could be a very small project which must be solving a very small problem maybe, but deal with them in depth. So that you know every nook and corner of that particular project. That okay, if you are asked to dig deeper and describe the problem you're trying to solve in that, you should be able to do that, because it happens once you have written something on a project, and if the interviewer is interested in knowing your project, you should be able to explain that well. So that's something like good projects and uh, how to dig deep in that is something which should be the top priority. Um, Again, try to work on the multiple projects, not on a single one during your college days. uh, uh, this comes out of interest. So you have developed this interest towards the technology and how it's evolving around you. And this is also one other pointer which I would say should be students should be looking forward to. Uh, Also, if something interests you, not in general, like for example, if you're interested in AI or ML, which like many students out there are these days, so dig deep into that. Read research papers, read some experimentation done by different companies. There are many white papers as well. Read them. Get a confidence so that it actually uh, what can say that it empowers you as well to do something of your own. So it all boils down to that reading and then implementing. So I think this should be a good start. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So can you tell us what are the skills required by the tech industry? Basically, what are the skill set the tech industry looks for in their employee?
Yeah, of course. To be in tech, you should be able. Basically, you should be well versed with the fundamentals of programming. That's like non-negotiable, I think, and like various other concepts like related to software engineering. But the most important one is the mindset to learn and upskill yourself. Why I would say this is because tech keeps on changing each and every day, and we tend to see since last 5 to 10 years we have seen a lot of growth in, like, there are new programming languages, there are new frameworks, there are new paradigms, there are new technologies. So uh, be ready to learn them is something which is more than required actually. uh, and it's more important to develop the concepts so that they could be used further when you implement something. Example, like knowing a particular language is fine, but what's more important is like having an understanding of the fundamental of programming concepts so that you can apply it to any language which you want to use. Like read on the best practices and then work on that. uh, Also, one more important like skill is basically to choose the right set of tools to accomplish certain types of implementations tasks is a good to have thing, though it comes with time actually. If once you grow, when you start growing, once you are working, and as you progress in your career, you will get to know this. But this can also be developed by reading actively like articles which are published on the web. So it's not like you have to wait to join some company and then work on and then get this skill. Probably you can start now, read a lot of articles out there and then work on them. Um, the other skill I would say is basically try to read other people's code. So I would suggest that there is a very good link like GitHub/trending, github.com/trending, which lists all the trending projects, trending software projects, basically trending repositories, trending developers, and you get to see their code written by them. And that's a very good habit to form, that just go and read their code. What it does is basically it enhances your debugging skills. And this was one of the pieces of advice which I had got from one of the senior engineers at DirectEye as well. Like reading code helps you in improving the debugging skills, makes you aware of how and why different design patterns are used, or for that matter, how a particular program works, uh, and how some of the common problems are solved across the industry. So like these are the basic skills of which I would say that these are good to have skills when if you're intending to join some organization in tech.
That's nice. Okay, so what are the kinds of internships you would suggest to do in this field, and where would you suggest mentees to apply for experience and more exposure for the technical field?
uh, I'd say that once when you start your career, you should be focusing on learning than money. I see that there are people who look for money as well, but I have a different perspective, which is like learning is should be the foremost important thing in your life when you are starting your career. I know that this may not be possible for everyone, but yeah, that should be the primary focus. And based on that, I would say that any company which is trying to which would give you work and make you learn, grow you as a person, like grow you as a software engineer, probably you should be joining that. And there are many things like web development, data science and AI, backend systems involving ops work. When I say ops work, like backend, the infrastructure work, low level system design, system work, which enables or empowers the tech infrastructure. Building process management tools is one of the things. Working for e-commerce startups, delivery startups, platform as a service. I won't take names, but I think that there are plenty of examples around us which fall in such category. For example, platform as a service. There are many startups out there. For example, the biggest one is like not anymore a startup, AWS. So on those lines, there are many who are trying to build some of the other service, which is some or the other cloud service. So yeah, e-commerce, to name big players, like there are Amazon and Flipkart, but there are some emerging ones as well. Delivery startups. So yeah, I would suggest to apply for the internship and not apply for a single one. Do it across the industry at many levels. Try to write up a cover letter that why would you want to join them, because that helps at times to get a conversion. So yeah.
That's nice. Cover letter is obviously something that will obviously benefit the employer also to know why the employer is perfect, and also the people who are applying for them. It might like add a value added point. So that's really good tip. Also, my next question is how important is CGPA or grades in colleges, and do organizations really consider it while they are taking the interviews?
Yeah, so this is basically, I think not a gray area, but something which is like a closed area where we don't have a lot of information about. I would say that when I was in college, I believe that organizations should not be doing that. Why? Because I feel that grades does not reflect uh, at times that what the capability or potential of a person is. But at times, I feel after joining the company, I realized that it's not something that grades are not or are completely irrelevant. I think it helps at times to stand out when there are a lot of applicants and you want to get filtered out. You want to have raise your bar, like have a high chance of like getting through the shortlisting process. So it certainly helps. And so though companies are trying to move away from it, still it's used for at times for like filtering. Also in the longer run, they may not be like as important, but they give you a good head start. Like if you're starting and you're putting your resume at multiple places, then probably you will get shortlisted on this. So I think that it's good to have a good CGPA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. The shortlisting part is true. Like many employers do look for that, because if there are too many applicants, they can't take in all. So
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah. And what happens actually is after like this particular process, if you're into a company, then probably you'll build upon that.
Yeah,
And in longer run, your grades may not matter at all.
matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is, what are the frequently asked questions that interviewers usually ask to the employee who are the applicants, basically? So, what are the frequently asked questions?
So I would say that this actually depends on the type of company you're interviewing for. So basically, we have two leagues of companies. You can say that one is product and one is service. So I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Most of the product companies would interview you on data structures and algorithm questions, and where they would throw some problem at you and expect you to come up with the efficient solution for that. The reason being that it actually assesses your thinking capabilities, computational thinking, and your aptitude, and your knowledge of data structures and algorithms, which are like the fundamental if you are intending to get a job in computer science field. Also, you may be asked about your projects you have mentioned on resume. We discussed this in like detail in previous sections, that how important your projects are. So you may get asked some questions about your projects and how you build them. So that is something important. And if you are experienced, or in fact if you have shown enough experience on your resume, maybe you have to go through some system design interviews, where you would be asked to implement subsystem involving like high level, low level designs, like building a cache system, or maybe bitly link shortener, if you've seen. and maybe like complex systems too, like very big full social network maybe. So that's something product companies look for when they interview a candidate. As of service companies who work dedicatedly, basically these companies work dedicatedly for the on the proprietary design softwares for them, like um, specialized softwares. So you may be asked advanced to expert level questions about the role you have applied for or the tech they are focused on. And here a few certification would also help you. So for example, if you are interviewing some service company for a particular position where which involves usage of particular software, then definitely having a certification in that particular area matters.
True. Okay. So my next question is, if not software engineering in particular, what are the other opportunities that technical background students can move into?
Hmm. I think this is also a good question, and this we hear a lot. Like that, sometimes it happens that still you are in tech. Basically, you are learning tech, but you may not want to actually get involved in building it. So tech in evangelism is something which is trending these days. And if you are into tech, then and don't want to do coding and want to remain in tech, then you can go for the tech evangelism as well. Like since students in tech understand the systems well, or at least have a great probability of understanding it, like becoming a middle layer of for the end users and the core engineering teams is a great opportunity. Like working for some company where they're launching cool products, cool features, then you could be someone who can actually take the gist of what is being developed and cater it to the end users, like showing that what's been developed. So that could be one of the things. Uh, that's about like working to build the communities around tech and related stuff. So this is one thing. uh, Teaching can be other area of interest where you can teach people about tech, which is a complete field in itself. I won't go into deep into this because teaching is a separate stream altogether. But yes, someone in tech can actually try teaching. uh, so uh, what else? So look, so I think that tech has anyway become an integral part of our lives. And like knowing tech actually helps uh, anyway. For
Yeah.
example, that if you're trying to go into some other stream, also trying to go into management, probably you will find yourself in a good position if you know tech. So that's also something uh, good for the tech
Yeah.
students. Yeah.
True. Okay. What are some tools and softwares that are required to be used as a software engineer?
uh, the prompt answer would be none. Uh, but I don't mean it though. The thing is that it'd be good to learn something you love, but again, it depends on what you join. So, like coming upfront with a list of tools and like different set of tools to learn and expect that you would be using them is not a very wise decision. Probably. So the tools and technology would keep changing, as I mentioned earlier as well, and you should be focusing on what the fundamentals are instead. Uh, so just learn the fundamentals, but knowing IDEs, or at least knowing what an IDE can provide you, is a good thing to have, so that you don't end up doing some extra hard work at work, like while writing code or anything else, doing anything else, like which an ID can do for you. uh, and in general, I feel whatever interests you, like knowing that helps. So if you love web programming, you might be interested in knowing like how web works. uh, uh, you might want to know that how HTTP works. You might want to know that how web server works. uh, can you write your own web server, that sort of stuff. So tooling, I won't say or suggest any tool, but there are a bunch of things which are good to have experience with, like IDs and programming languages, of course, and these some programming concepts, or like high level concepts.
Okay, nice. So what are the programming languages that are required to be known in the industry?
Uh, I could say that programming languages, if you ask me, uh, there are many programming languages. uh, Python is, I think one of those which is being used very widely these days, and there are many AI frameworks which are built using Python, and Python helps in writing. Python is basically a short code. If you want to write short, like less, then probably use Python. So that is something which I would say uh, uh, is a good language to learn. Again, Java is a gold thing, still being used at many places. So knowing Java is plus, or for that matter, any object-oriented programming language. Uh, Go is again trending. It has it's hot, so probably and Uber basically has also is using it, and many other companies are using it other than Google. So probably that's something uh, good to know. C++ is again piece of gold. Almost every company does something in C++ who are big, because when you scale, you need speed, and C++ is what provides the speed. So that's something good to learn. JavaScript is something which has gained a popularity in last few years, and supports backend and front end both. So definitely good to learn, because there are so many various front end frameworks which are written on top of JavaScript, and they are good to learn and have high demand in the market. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, any apps or websites or certifications that you would recommend to students to get started with learning in this field?
Uh, I think as far as websites are concerned, that there are a few things. So one is that what do you want to learn? So one is that if you want to enhance your programming skills, there are a lot of programming websites there. One I worked for, like Codeship.com previously, and on the lines there are like others, Codeforces, LeetCode. Uh, you can practice on them and get your data structures and algorithm concepts brushed up. Um, when it comes to reading code or learning how to code, basically GitHub is one of the good sources. Basically, you can uh, follow the trending repositories developers on GitHub, read their code, and learn, improve your code reading skills as well as debugging skills. uh, this enhances your knowledge of programming also, so that's like good to have. Other than this, I would suggest to read research papers. Um, and so there is a good website called as High Scalability. You can visit that also, which deals with like which are the actually blogs published by software engineers from various different companies, big tech companies, that how they made certain systems, like how Uber made their whole system, how it works, uh, probably how the whole social networking thing works. May not be the whole view, but probably the overall high level idea you will get to know from this website, this highscalability.com. Uh, what else? I think there are some good resources on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn learning thing. So yeah, this is pretty much that.
Yeah, yeah. I think Raju has asked you the question: which site do you refer to read articles? So one of the answers is the highskillability.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any
Uh,
other websites that you refer to read articles?
Read articles. Medium. Follow Medium. Follow TechCrunch. Uh, you'll get to know about the new news, what's happening in the software world. Reddit. Follow good Reddit. And Quora is good. Like if you follow the tech part of it, uh, yeah, that should be enough, I guess. Uh,
Okay. So let's move into the Menti questions that are being asked. So I'll just go through one by one, and then you can answer them. Okay.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll try.
Uh, sure. So first question is, what would you recommend between a first programming language a student can start with?
I won't go different. Uh, Basically, I would say C++, but again, not the Turbo C++, the other one, GCC, basically. And it's good to start with Python as well. So I feel that Python is a much more user-friendly language than C++. You don't have to write so much of boilerplate. Uh, Many things are straightforward, so probably you can start with Python as well.
Okay. Next question is, what are your views on the post-COVID era of this IT field? That is, what should be included according to you in the job preparation that wasn't required before the COVID times?
Uh, Probably uh, like you have to keep on improving your skills. That's something important. So before we used to meet people and then you get to know about like this, it's not related to tech. In fact, it's related to meeting people. So since meeting with people have become less frequent, the sharing of ideas has it has definitely affected sharing of ideas. And when there is sharing of ideas, you get to learn. So probably learning is one thing which I would suggest, that keep learning, meet people, join different groups on different social media or different websites, learn about something. So keep yourself updated is something I would say that it may not have mattered much before, because you had like proper instructions from someone you meet, uh, or through your classes, but now it's more important to be aware of things around.
True. Next question is, what would a perfect cover letter look like?
It's very subjective actually. Why it's subjective? That because it depends on the company you're trying to apply to basically, and what your interests are, and how your interests then align with those with the interests of that company. So a good cover letter is that you show your genuine interests in what they're building, and with the empathy of that, with this empathy, that putting yourself into their shoes, and trying to prove that how you could be the most you could be valuable to them, how could you improve their value. So that is something I feel that your cover letter should address.
Nice. Next question is by Shivanshu Kumar. He asks, what are the software requirement? Okay, he says, who are the, okay. Who are the software requirement gathering people and how to be one of them?
I would say that in startups, software engineers basically put them wear multiple hats. So you are the as a software engineer, you gather the requirement, you make the software, you ship it, and you sell it also. So this is how it works at the startup levels. But as the organization grows, you have different roles, like product managers, and you can learn product management by opting for different courses. And basically those are the specified roles at different at big companies, where you find that they would collect requirements for you, and they will multiple juggle between different projects like for you. uh, so yeah, product managers is that role for if you're looking for that.
Okay, nice. Next question is, since there are a lot of texts, what are the methods used to learn a skill confidently and master it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So one thing I would recall is that it involves a lot of reading. Uh, you have to read different stuff, and you have to experiment with it. You have to get your hands dirty. Until you get your hands dirty, you won't get the taste of that, what it looks like to learn a particular thing. So I would suggest that for learning something effectively, read it, try to implement it, and then see that what are the results. Compare it, like assess it yourself, see the scope of improvement, and then improve it, so that you can get a deep knowledge of what you have learned.
Okay. One mentee asks that, would you recommend websites like Udemy for learning?
The thing is that there are like Coursera and Udemy. Basically, both of these websites are there who have courses, but I would suggest that have a careful look at them, that what a course offers, and if that suffices your requirement, or if you have a specified requirement, and then only opt for it. I won't recommend as such any website, but I would say that it depends on the use case, why you are looking at a particular website or a course maybe. So I would suggest that go to the course level, not the website level. Probably you will learn better if you look for something in the course, not in the website. Yeah.
Okay, there's one more mentee who has asked something similar. So if you want to learn a skill, which website do you prefer?
Which website do you prefer? Mm, uh, so over the course of time, what I have developed is like it has become natural for me to juggle between these websites. TechCrunch, I follow. If you are saying about skills, so probably I look for the books. There are, you can search for the books. I mean, if not websites, then it's books. Uh, Read specific books written by brilliant authors who are experts in their fields. So, like for example, like scalability, search for it on Amazon. You'll get a lot of books. You'll get to know the ratings, and probably you can pick one. So this is reading from book is something I would suggest if you want to dig deep and develop some skill to a depth.
Okay. Next question is, as a student, I do not have much to put on a cover letter. How do I frame a cover letter or put a resume together?
So as I mentioned, so if you're writing a general cover letter, then show your interests. Uh, be explicit there that okay, what you are open to, and what you have learned, and uh, and what are your skill set. So basically, and incorporate it in such a way that you will prove out to be a valuable hire for a particular company. So that is something which should go in a general cover letter. Your cover letter should be something which starts off with telling about yourself and your interests, and your resume should be which should be dig deep into what skills do you have actually, what have you worked upon, what are your credentials. So this is how I would like to build my resume if asked. And if you're applying for a certain company where you know that what you're applying for, the role you know you're applying for, then try to incorporate and align with that also in your cover letter.
Nice. Next question is, what are the challenges that you face in this field?
What sort of challenges I would ask? So there are many challenges. To say that, I would say that scalability is one of the challenges which I faced in my previous company, where we tried hard to scale our website. We tried to stand during the heavy traffic, and every use case is different probably. So some solutions are already out there. You can just drag and drop and use it. Uh, but at times it happens that you are into a genuine problem and you have to solve it. So I won't say that uh, uh, there are some general problems, but like there are different problems based on the use case which you're trying to solve.
Okay.
As for now, scalability was one for me during my last company.
Okay. Next question is, what are the 3 top things that students should do before applying to job in the tech field?
Brush up your fundamentals, improve, prepare for interviews. It's not like you just go wake up and just go for an interview. Prepare for them, give it a time, have some preparation time, get to know your projects. Yeah, that's it. Like these are my top 3 things I would say.
Okay. Okay, this is the last question. What are some good companies to apply for an internship?
There is a list actually. There are many, I would say. You can apply for internships in various tech companies. There are, what should I say?
You can
Postman
say,
is one.
okay.
You can apply there. That's a platform as a service. An academy probably. CodeChef, Facebook. I can take any names for that matter. Like, but yeah, it depends on your interest also and how is your reach. Yeah.
Okay. So before we end today's webinar, do you have some takeaway and suggestions for our mentees to take away from this webinar as a whole?
As a whole, that I think that the line was too catchy for our webinar, which was like how to brand yourself in tech industry. I would say that there is nothing called as branding. It's just that you have to keep improving yourself. And how do you improve yourself? That's by learning different things around. Uh, if you want to become a specialist, then digging deeper into that particular thing and learning that. Yeah, so basically learning and keeping this mindset of learning and upskilling yourself is something I would say should be the primary, takeaway from this particular webinar.
Okay, thank you so much, Abhijit, for attending today's webinar and coming to us with my captain. It was great to have you.
Yeah, I would like to thank Kufus and my captain for the same. It's been a great experience. Yeah.
Thank you, all the mentors. I hope all your questions have been clarified. You can also check out the QFIS link that I dropped below, and you can also visit Abhijit LinkedIn profile. So Abhijit, if you can, like in chat box, send your LinkedIn profile, maybe then they can just check your profile out.
Okay. Should I paste it here, my LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, you can.
Just give me a time. Sometime
Yes.
I have to pull it up.
Yeah, sure.
My LinkedIn profile is here.
Okay, you've sent it to only panelists, I guess. Okay, no worries. I'll just send it.
Oh,
Yeah, done. Thank you so much, Abhijit. It was great having you, and have a great night.
thank you. Thank you so much. You too have a great night.
Thank you.
Yeah.